So today we're not just going to talk about a football player. We're talking about a system, an architecture of human potential, really, built on this one core belief, that discipline is the only thing that can protect your dream from the decay of time. This is the story of how an obsession was forged into a routine, and how that routine, well, it built a legend.
And that right there, that single realization is the key to everything. It's the defining moment. It's where the story of Cristiano Ronaldo, the phenomenon, truly begins. He figured out that greatness wasn't some gift you get at birth, but a verdict you earn in the dark, in the quiet, in those lonely hours when nobody else is watching. This was the birth of the Ronaldo Routine, a personal operating system designed to weaponize obsession and just systematically outwork raw talent. But, an idea this powerful, it doesn't just appear out of thin air. It has to be forged in fire.
To really understand the machine, you have to understand where all the parts came from. See, before he was CR7, a global brand, he was just a kid from the volcanic island of Madeira, in Portugal, a place where he was fighting for his spot at a table where both food and opportunity were pretty scarce. This isn't just some simple backstory, it's the crucible that created his relentless, world-altering drive.
Now, what's really interesting here is how each one of these points isn't just a hardship, it's a catalyst. In 1985, he's born into poverty, so he learns the fundamental lesson that nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be handed to him. Then, in 1997, at just 12 years old, he moves to the mainland, to Lisbon, all by himself. The other kids at the academy, they mock his thick island accent so bad that he feels voiceless, like an outsider. But the crucial point, the moment that changes absolutely everything, comes in 2000. At just 15, he's diagnosed with a racing heart. He has to have surgery that could have ended his career before it even started. That was his documented wake-up call, the terrifying realization that his body and his dream were not guaranteed. And then, as if that weren't enough, in 2002, coaches tell him he's simply too skinny to compete at the highest level.
And this just perfectly illustrates the choice he made. Faced with feeling voiceless, fragile, and physically inadequate, he made a decision. He started sneaking out of his dorm room at night, climbing out the window to go to the team gym. He chose to replace the loud noise of self-pity and homesickness with the quiet, focused, solitary work of building himself into something undeniable. This is the moment he stopped waiting for permission to be great. He realized that if he couldn't have the easiest path, he would build the hardest, most unbreakable work ethic you could possibly imagine. This is where the philosophy was truly born.
All that friction from his early life, that feeling of being an outsider, of being almost biologically excluded from the elite, it gave birth to the core philosophy that would define his entire career. And it's a philosophy built on one powerful foundational idea: the total rejection of good enough.
This wasn't just some motivational poster for him. This became his operational rule. I mean, think about the audacity of that. It's a complete refusal to accept your place in the hierarchy. It's a mindset that says, hey, respect is earned by surpassing the people you admire, not by just following in their footsteps. He decided the game wasn't just something to be played, it was a laboratory for dominance. And this philosophy, well, it required two core pillars to really work.
So the first pillar of his mindset is this idea of constant optimization. He realized that every single time you accept good enough, you're actively losing an opportunity to be great. It's why he'd famously stay behind for an extra hour after the entire team had already gone home, just practicing free kicks over and over and over again. He internalized this idea that every comfortable hour, every moment of ease, was an hour that a rival somewhere in the world was gaining on him. This became the engine driving his continuous improvement, day after day, for more than 2 decades.
And that brings us to the second pillar, radical accountability. He understood that real power comes from making yourself the ultimate authority on your own performance. Why wait for a coach's criticism? Why wait for the media's critique? Teammates would talk about how even after a huge win, he'd be in the locker room obsessing over one missed pass or a single shot that went wide. He became his own most demanding critic, making sure the standards he set for himself were higher than anyone else could possibly set for him. And this wasn't just a mindset, it became a daily system.
Okay, so we've established the why behind his philosophy. Now let's break down the how, the actual daily system he built to turn those ideas into reality. He started treating his body not just as a tool for his sport, but as a high-performance biological enterprise that required meticulous investment, management, and governance.
Look at how he made his philosophy tangible. First, systematic maintenance. This wasn't just about healing. It was about making sure his muscles were always regenerating, ready for the next assault. Then, voluntary hardship, deliberately adding extra training, not just for today's game, but to see how it could extend his career long past the typical expiration date of an athlete.
Next up, a peak efficiency protocol. Famously refusing to touch anything, a sugary drink, a piece of fried food, that didn't directly contribute to his standard of excellence. And the glue holding it all together? Absolute self-governance. Every single minute of his day became a calculated choice, a strategic threat to the competition.
But of all the components in his system, one ritual stands above the rest as the absolute bedrock of his career. One non-negotiable rule that he followed every single day for 20 years. It became the rhythm of his entire professional life, the foundation upon which everything else was built.
Now, what's so brilliant about this is its beautiful simplicity. Step 1, arrive first. Before anyone else is even thinking about work, you're there, setting the standard not just for the team, but for yourself. Step 2, master the volume. This is all about trusting the sheer quantity of work, the relentless repetition, over some vague idea of natural talent. And step 3, outwork the lights. You don't leave when practice is over. You leave when the work is truly done, on your terms.
And this just perfectly nails his core belief. Just imagine the sensory experience of it. The quiet hum of the empty training ground in the early morning. The echo of a ball against a wall long after everyone else has gone home. This wasn't about glamour. It was the unglamorous, relentless, foundational discipline of volume that became his true competitive advantage. He wasn't trying to find some clever trick. He was building a monument of work so large that no opponent, no injury, and no passage of time could ever tear it down.
So what was the payoff? What did 2 decades of this relentless system actually produce? Well, it produced a fundamental transformation of what it even means to be a professional athlete. He didn't just play the game. He became the architect of the modern standard.
Just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got the raw material, a skinny kid from a volcanic island with a racing heart, mocked for his accent and told he wasn't big enough. And on the other, the final product, the architect of the modern athletic standard, a global icon whose name is synonymous with excellence. The distance between those 2 points wasn't covered by luck or talent alone. It was covered inch by inch, day by day, by the system.
5 Ballon d'Or awards, naming him the best football player on the entire planet. This isn't just a number, it's a metric. It is the concrete, undeniable reward for 2 decades of absolute self-governance, constant optimization, and foundational discipline. Every single one of those trophies is physical proof that the routine worked.
And maybe this is his ultimate legacy. In a sport where athletes are considered past their prime in their early 30s, he kept dominating well into his late 30s. He proved that a systematic, intelligent routine is the ultimate weapon against the decay of time. He didn't just defy expectations, he destroyed the very myth that age is an unavoidable limit, and he replaced it with a new truth. The power of preparation is the ultimate deterrent to decline. And that is where his story becomes ours.
So how do we apply this? Because his journey isn't just about football. It's a guide for anyone who feels like they don't have the natural gifts to compete in their chosen field. It's about how you can stop competing on someone else's terms and start building your own system, your own code for greatness. The lesson is to stop wishing for a different set of circumstances and start working with the ones you have. Your power isn't in your starting position. It's tied directly to your ability to build a protocol. So, I want you to find your own weight room. Find that one area in your life, your career, your health, your craft, where you've been settling for good enough, where you know you've been looking for shortcuts instead of committing to the volume.
And ask yourself this question, seriously, what would actually happen if you committed to a process so deeply, so consistently, that your desired results became functionally inevitable? Not a matter of hope, but a matter of time. When you raise your personal level of obsession and channel it into a daily system, you stop being a victim of luck, and you start becoming the architect of your own outcomes.
So the crucial point, the one thing to take away from all of this is right here. Your natural abilities are just the starting point. They're a gift, sure, but they are not the destination. The routine, the system you build, the discipline you cultivate, the standards you refuse to lower, that is the code. That is what unlocks your true greatness.